You're listening to KX 93.5, Laguna's only FM. I'm Scott Hayes, here with my co-host Robert Palmer, and this, of course, is Radio Caravan. And in the studio, always, is the lovely Miss Jill Harvey, our healthy lifestyle coach.
Yeah.
How are you this morning?
Yeah, I'm great. How are you guys?
Doing great. Well, Robert's doing great. As you can...
I can see you're both doing great. Singing, checking zippers. It's great. Yeah.
Pole vaulting. We had all
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's going on today? You want to talk a little bit about travel and how to stay healthy?
Absolutely.
When you're traveling or
Yeah.
That's
eating
hard
healthy?
to do.
It is hard. Most people think it's hard, but we have some tips.
Okay, that's why you're here.
Especially when it comes to traveling by airline. We always think we have to eat their food, drink their water, and we don't have
This
to.
is as opposed to the Mexican death train.
Yeah.
Something new for our listeners.
Something new.
Okay.
So I have my brother-in-law works for a major airline, and we were having a discussion.
Yes.
And it's always, what can you bring through TSA? We can bring a lot through TSA. You can stay home. You can make your own salads, put them in a glass Pyrex or BPA-free plastic container. You can take salads through. If you have salad dressing and you want to mix it in, if you're going to carry it as a liquid form, it has to go in your Ziploc baggie.
Right.
You can make sandwiches. You can wrap them in parchment paper, but not wrap them in foil because they're going to go through the X-ray machine and they're going to be caught, and then they'll want to look at them, and you can take so much. You can bring an empty thermos through and fill it up with hot water on the other side when you get through.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and make your own tea or have your own drinks. Yeah, packing healthy almonds, healthy trail mixes, hummus, chopped up vegetables, crackers, popcorn. So there's no reason to go and
Like
travel.
asked to borrow the microwave on the plane.
You what?
Asked to borrow the microwave on the plane.
Yeah, bring a microwave on the plane. But when you guys travel, do you bring your own food? Or
Never. I don't. No.
Yeah, but see, now you can.
Megan does.
Megan, you do.
Well, Megan's healthy, and she's an athlete, and I'm not.
Yeah, it all started in college. I was trying to save money because
Oh.
the airport food's really expensive.
It
Yeah,
I'm like,
sure.
oh, I'm
Yeah.
just going to bring my lunch with me. And then I realized it's the food on the plane and in the airport salty, and I got swollen and
Yeah.
everything. So I just
So what do you
started
pack?
I'll bring, this most recent trip I just did, I brought a salad and a sandwich onto
See?
the plane.
There you go.
This is
for you.
fantastic.
Yeah. And then I fill up my big water bottle in the airport at
Yep.
one of the restaurants, and
Yeah.
I'm set.
And you can also bring empty plastic bags. So if you have something you want to keep cold, get some ice. The restaurants will give you ice to put in and keep it cold. Sometimes those freezer gel packs will get through. Sometimes they won't.
Right.
Some of them have issues with those.
Right.
But when you're traveling on the road and you're doing road trips, stop at farmers markets. People are always stopping, pulling to In-N-Out and all the fast food. Go to farmers markets. Get really innovative. But pack hummus, guacamole, chopped vegetables. It is amazing what you can bring through and stay healthy.
Do you travel this way? When you travel, is this
You
sort
know
of-
what? I have always packed like trail mix, like my own trail mix. Don't buy the bag stuff. It's too many inflammatory oils. But I did not know. I really didn't know until I was speaking with my brother-in-law that you can bring food.
These
That
are
you
like
can-
oils that say nasty things at the other peanuts and stuff.
Yes.
Stop being so inflammatory.
They're too inflammatory.
Yeah.
But it's really enlightening that we can carry food over and you can carry your glass
Wow.
container. If you're traveling out of the country, though, and you get to the customs, they may ask you to, dump it, especially if it's fruit or something they're
Right.
concerned about. So you have to be prepared to let go of food once you get to the other side. And then say you are out of the country, once again, prepare there. They have great farmers markets all over, like especially Italy and stuff, and bring it back through. So, yeah.
Very nice.
So you're on a long road trip and you're pulling over and
Yeah.
you see to the side of the road a little tomato stand, and next to it is an In-N-Out. You're saying you're going to go to the tomato stand?
Yeah, I personally would. Yeah. Would you go to
She
the...
would go, though.
I would.
Yeah, but I would eat healthy. I get my animal stout with the extra vegetables on it.
No, yeah, I definitely would go for the tomato. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Scott,
I would-
when you just eat the airline food, is that what you're doing? When you go on a flight?
I try not to eat the airline food, I'll have to be honest. But yeah, if it's a long flight, I typically would. I wouldn't think of I'll bring a little trail mix or something,
Yeah.
but that would be the extent of it.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
airline food is just loaded with a bunch of chemicals and
Yeah.
preservatives. So now that we know we can do this, let's travel healthy.
Yeah, I love that. Let's
Yeah.
travel
And a-
healthy.
And a ton of salt.
Ton of salt.
Because you can't taste at 30,000 feet, so it's literally prepared very, very differently. If you had a gourmet meal on an airplane, it would taste horrible.
Right.
So they have to cook it differently.
Is that true?
It's very true.
You can't taste at 30,000 feet.
No, it tastes very bland. So there's an excessive amount of salt and other seasonings in airline food, so you can taste it at 33,000.
Where do you get this information from? Cite your source on this? I'm curious where that's.
Go look anywhere. I've got 3 million miles on American. I fly a lot. That's what happens.
Really?
It's well known.
I
And the
didn't know
chefs
that.
are hired to specially prepare them, and then they fly to altitude and try them.
Wow. And when you travel, then do you take Jill's advice and sort of pack your own food, or do you eat the airline food?
The only time I take anything is when Nancy flies with me and we have to be in coach. It's a miserable experience to see me in coach. So she tries to recreate the proper experience. So she brings mixed nuts and puts out a little jar of them. She brings a Bloody Mary mix. She brings a little hot towel. That's about it, yeah.
So you're a little high maintenance, huh?
When it comes to
A little bit of a
flying,
princess, it
yeah,
sounds like.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of my little pony status.
So with the, with the taste buds and the food being saltier enhanced for your taste, alcohol too. You got to be careful drinking that, right?
Now somebody tells me.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here to help out. Yeah.
Hey, nice
Thank
job,
you.
Miss Jill. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
We handle everything from general corporate formation, partnership, real estate. We have a full-service litigation practice, and we also have a group of lawyers that handle bankruptcy and general insolvency matters.
We offer big firm experience with a small firm feel.
The person that you're hiring is the person who's going to be representing you throughout your entire map.
The slogan of redefining full service attempts to capture two things. One, an explanation of the breadth or the diversity of the legal services that we provide, but also to recognize that our service to our community does not end with our legal services.
Whether it's a pro bono opportunity where we're representing people for free, or whether we're actually volunteering on a project like Habitat for Humanity, for example.
It includes the philanthropic efforts, the volunteering of time, and the donating of resources outside just the four corners of this law office.
And you're listening, of course, to KX 93.5, Laguna's only FM. I'm Scott Hayes here with my co-host, Robert Palmer, and this, of course, is
Yo, yo, yo.
Radio Caravan. And, of course, Robert's in rare form this morning.
Thank you.
So
Robert's always in rare form.
he is always in rare form. And if you don't recognize that voice, by the way,
And you
we
should.
and you should. We have in the studio Reiff, and I love saying this, Pulitzer Prize winning journalist.
By show of hands, how many people in the room have a Pulitzer Prize? Just one.
Yeah.
Darn it.
How many in Laguna have a Pulitzer? I mean, that's a
maybe two, but
really.
David Ems has one. Or is that a Tony? He's got a. Do we have a
No, he's
Pulitzer
got
too?
David Ems wouldn't have a.
He might.
Really?
I
He
thought
might.
it was more like a Tony.
It's a Tony. So we got one Tony and one Pulitzer. It's pretty good.
All right,
Not
camera
bad.
guys, we good with the
and
mics
you
out
know
of the way?
both. And you know both.
I do
Robert.
indeed. I do indeed. But because I have nothing, I had zip.
Robert, you are much too modest.
Why, thank you. And our buddy,
Scott, now I just met you, but this guy, he's a Renaissance man.
Well, that's what he tells me. Yeah.
I mean, high-powered lawyer,
yeah.
musician,
Writer,
writer, yacker.
yacker.
something I can do well.
He's got it all going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, so let me back up here a little bit because a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist we're going to talk about, host, producer of SoCal Insider with Reiff on PBS SoCal, executive editor of Orange County Business Journal, associate professor of media sometimes at Chapman University, and co-host now of the News and Public Affairs show Studio SoCal, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
It's a busy guy.
Really busy.
Sounds that way.
It does. It does. And
you
a beautiful, talented wife as well, I
Oh,
might add.
wow. No kidding.
And you just got back from a vacation too?
Mongolia.
And I'm curious, why Mongolia?
Because
do you have here?
Marianne, my wife, and here, this is for you guys, by the way. This is the Mongolian flag, a little gift for each of you.
Thank you.
Get that on camera there. And why Mongolia?
I think
Why
you're
not?
holding it upside there. There you go. That's the way it goes. No,
right.
no, you got it one more time. And now switch it around. The little flame should be up in the top left corner there. Oh well, that's okay. Good enough. Good enough. Good enough.
All right.
Like this.
Bingo.
Okay,
See, I
gotcha.
can
Sorry.
possibly
All
hold
right.
my
See,
Mongolian.
I wasn't familiar with the
Interesting
flag.
country, but the reason I went there
yeah.
is because Marianne, who is an executive with Pacific Life, loves to travel. And before we got married 6 years ago, she had already been to over 100 countries.
Wow.
So I'm helping her finish up here. So she had not been to Mongolia.
Yeah,
It's not the first place you think of going
No, it's
when you're
not.
traveling. Boy, what an experience.
And in what way? What was so different about Mongolia,
It
would you
is
say?
it's one of the most remote countries in the world. One of only 22 that has not been invaded by the British Empire. If you look at a map, there's only 22 countries in the whole world that have not been invaded by the British Empire. Mongolia is basically the buffer zone between China and Russia, and they like it that way. They don't want their borders butting up against each other. So,
Would Nebraska
but
be another
Mongolia is
one?
where Genghis Khan came from, and the
Yeah.
folks there. I mean, he is the rock star. Still, 800 years later, he's the rock star in Mongolia.
Very interesting. Would you say you have, I would say you have a voice and a look for
radio.
radio and television, don't you think?
For radio, you're supposed to.
That's a face
That was a
for
joke.
radio.
I know,
Yeah.
No, but
Big
don't
thing.
you think, honestly? I mean, you've been now.
People tell me that.
Yeah, and has it always been that way for you? I mean, have you always sort of had that?
Well, I'm a print guy by training, and actually I got into TV because most print people, no offense, they're not very good on TV. They're
Right.
great writers, but they don't always have great personalities, and I've always been a ham, so I was the go-to guy, you know, when there was a bank crisis and they needed to explain it on television. I'd be the guy that
Nobody
bring
else
on.
could understand how to explain it. Probably.
I'm not sure they understood me, but I sounded good.
So you were trained as a print journalist?
Yes.
You went right into writing for newspapers?
Yeah.
And you worked for which newspaper? The Akron?
Well,
spell
the
it.
Akron, yeah, no,
Beacon.
it's Akron, the Akron Beacon Journal. Actually, my first paper was in grade school. I did on the old mimeograph machines, which nobody else here.
I'm old
remembers.
enough.
Palmer might
I
remember a
know.
mimeograph machine, but this was way, way before. This was like Gutenberg's time. And,
You used to hang out with him, play stickball,
that's right.
as I
Yes.
recall.
Listen, there's been more changes in the media business in my career than there was from Gutenberg until when I started.
Amazing.
I mean, it just changed the way you moved type. But other than that, it was.
Well, when you started newspapers, were they moving little parts around, or were they rolling them out on
Yeah.
the?
It was
the
little pieces of
linotype.
lead, yeah.
The linotype. The pressmen were actually. I've heard it's the first guild, so it goes back to the Middle Ages, and this was like the first group of guys that organized themselves, and they were artists. I mean, the way they could use these machines and the computers just wiped them out overnight. It was
Yeah.
done, an entire profession and way of living.
I had a clerkship at the LA Times. I was 82 or 83, and they were still setting hand type.
Yeah.
And then lock the page down and off
Yeah,
would go
and
on
I
the press.
just watched all that, the buyouts, every negotiation. They would just, get their retirements. And
Speaking of which, do you think traditional print newspapers are going to survive?
and most of them won't. And I've been kind of watching, doing a death watch, if you will.
It's sad, isn't it?
It's it's sad for it's sad for people like me, who are in the business. But I don't think it's necessarily sad for society. I think the web has been very empowering, and you don't need as many. They talk about newsrooms
right.
emptying out. A lot of what reporters did was just kind of process information that now is at people's
Came in over the
fingertips.
wire. Yeah.
What concerns me is the journalistic principles, what's going to happen to them, fairness, accuracy, context, and I don't know how that's going to get worked out. I don't know what kind of value people put on that.
Well, what have you been noticing? Because that's a great question. I mean, you have noticed that when you were probably being raised in the journalistic field as a reporter, you were taught a lot of these things probably, or you learned them by trade. I don't know what your path was through
Right.
that. But these days, everybody can go online and start producing and writing copy and content, and a lot of those sort of ethics have gone away.
We've gone from Edward R. Murrow to Howard Stern. I mean, it's a completely
In a
different
sense,
world
that's
nowadays.
true.
Well,
yeah.
there's people
But there's
like
still-
Howard Stern, I mean, I think that it works. One of the way it works out, though, is that with the profusion of information, people kind of sort it out, and so it's a little different process. You start determining yourself whether this person has an axe to grind, and it's more. It almost gets back to the beginnings of this country when there was no such thing as an objective journalist. Everybody was an advocate. And and so the idea was if you had all these opposing views, the truth would come out.
So when you started in this field, did you want to be an investigative reporter? Is that what you were like?
Yes, I got into it a little before the Watergate thing, so it's not like Woodward and Bernstein drove me to the profession like so many journalists. But I always wanted. I actually probably wanted to be more of a storyteller. I just loved, as I said, my first paper was in grade school, and then I was the editor of the high school paper and managing editor of the college paper, and I've always just enjoyed writing.
Do you have strong writing skills? Do you consider yourself a strong writer in that
Yeah,
sense?
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, not with much more than I do a TV person.
Right.
Even though I've been doing it for a long time now. I when I would finish my column at the Business Journal, I always felt like I nailed it. Always felt good when I was done with a column. I never felt good when I was done with a TV show. Never.
Really?
Oh no!
Why is
oh
that?
God, I didn't go there. The person said this. Why did we talk about that? It's just.
Was that a
different
tough?
creature.
Was
Yeah.
that a,
Is it the ability to rewrite the written word? You can just
Yes,
get it till it's
you get to
perfect.
say it.
Yeah.
You get to put it exactly the way you think. And TV's not like that, nor is radio. It's,
You've noticed.
It's just,
You've
it
noticed.
kind of goes. You kind of ride. You're riding a horse, but you don't know where the horse is going.
Exactly.
but there's some excitement to that when you made that transition then from print.
Maybe it's excitement for you. It's agony for me.
Is it? Why?
I'm
Because you're a
such a
perfect-
print guy. It's just my mindset. I'm just a print guy, and I want it. And so that's my issue.
Yeah. When you made the transition then from print to TV, I mean, is that sort of how
Yes.
that transition was? That a natural transition for you?
No. I thought it would be, but
Yeah.
there's things you have to learn. I was always a talking head on TV, and that was easy, like I'm doing here today. But when you're actually hosting the show, as you guys know, it's a little different.
Hi, I'm David Wilhelm, and this is Jimmy's Famous American Tavern. Jimmy's has been called a casual comeback for me. I think that's because most of the restaurants that I developed in the past were white tablecloth, upper-end restaurants. Jimmy's was designed as a place for friends and families to gather and enjoy regional American comfort food in a casual setting. Jimmy's Famous American Tavern. Simple and traditional.
I played this club in El Centro one night and I ended up sleeping on the linoleum floor. At some point I got up and started writing a song. I wrote a bunch of stuff until I finally got a good line. And the next day I found myself at a street fair in Old Town and I saw this beautiful girl wearing these turquoise earrings. I knew right then I had to put her in the song.
Talk to us about the show that you're working on.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's called Studio SoCal.
Okay.
And let me explain it by first talking about the show that I have just wrapped up doing the last episode, SoCal Insider, and I've been doing that for 10 years on PBS.
Right.
And it started as Inside OC, because just as you guys are serving a Laguna market here, I saw that Orange County was very underrepresented in the news business as being part of the LA market. And so, wow, let's say here we have a PBS station in Orange County. I'll do a show on Orange County.
Your idea.
But then, as you know, about 3 years ago, the way I explained it, we were the Clippers. We woke up one morning, found out the Lakers had left town. The PBS franchise in Los Angeles left PBS, and so we inherited the franchise and became the #1 PBS franchise in the LA market. So I said, well, you know what? The show's been Orange County, but now we're Southern California. So I changed it to SoCal Insider. And now this new show is really a continuing evolution there because, while the show, and David Nazar, I should plug David Nazar, my reporter, producer, it's basically been a two-man operation. We've won the Golden Mike for Best Public Affairs Show the last 3 years, but
Congrats.
we're still in, it's still got a bit of an Orange County feel, and so now this is going to be more LA. So my co-host is Elizabeth Espinoza, who's a TV and radio journalist in LA, and so she's going to be coming on board. So she'll bring more of the LA feel. I'm the white guy from Orange County, and so that's it's going to be a much.
To be clear, you're no Donald Sterling, though.
It's let's hope not. Although it could be good for ratings. I don't know, but. It's really we're really going to ramp it up, and we're also moving. I'm moving from behind a desk, and we're going to be on a couch.
Are you really?
Or a sofa. maybe.
So you're going to have to start
a
wearing,
nice couch.
wearing
It's a
pants
sofa.
now?
It's
Are
going
you
to be a
doing
nice sofa.
pants now with the show?
Yes, yeah, I'm going to have to put some pants on, yeah.
And so how's the dynamics of the show going to change as a result of having now a co-host sitting now on a sofa? And are you still going to tackle sort of the same issues, or is it going to be a different?
Yeah.
No, we'll still tackle the same issues, but I think it's going to be a little more of a chatty type of environment, a little more laid back, and
Which is sort of what we try to do in here. We sort of have a chatty, laid-back environment. How do you think that will help you in terms of a journalist?
I don't know if it will help me in terms of a journalist.
Will
I
it
think
help your show?
it'll be more. The whole idea is to be more compelling for viewers.
Yeah.
Lots of cutaways to people in the streets and reporters.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
lots
yeah.
of feeds. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Same time, all of that? Nothing's going to change?
Right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
Are you excited?
Yes, I am.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And what's the dynamics like between you and your co-host? Have you had that opportunity?
We have Elizabeth and I have had dinner together, and we just cut some promo spots. And I actually got her sick. She came down with Mongolian flu,
Nice.
which
Nice.
is always
Really?
I should say a Mongolian cold. Yes, I was fighting a cold from the trip.
What are the symptoms? Do you yak a lot?
It may on it. Yes. Actually, it may have just been one of those things you get after an international flight. But anyways, but she came down
You
with it,
attack
so
total
I was
strangers with
listening to her
sticks for no
because she does a
reason.
radio show on KFI every day. Before
really?
John and Ken, she's with
Oh.
Mark Thompson. It's
Yeah, yeah.
Thompson and Espinosa.
Oh,
and,
okay, I know that show.
And I could hear her getting progressively sicker. I
Sicker.
texted her, and she said, "Yes,
sorry,
thank you
I'm sorry,
very
I'm sorry.
much. I'm getting sick." So she's probably in bed right now.
Could I hear the story behind your Pulitzer, what it was about, and what it was like to get?
Sure.
That's the highest award you can
Yeah,
get.
the award, I should be clear, it went to the Akron Beacon Journal. I was the lead reporter, and it was for general news reporting in 1987 for our coverage of the Jimmy Goldsmith Goodyear takeover battle. And in Akron, Ohio, Goodyear was
That was
the
the
tire, it's
business.
the rubber city, and Goodyear is or was and is the company in the company town. It came under attack, and this was this was the first wave of hostile takeovers. Now everybody's used to this kind of thing, but that was the first year of the wave of hostile takeovers, and Michael Milken, the junk bond king, and Ivan, greed is good, Boski, and all that. And so, it was rather unusual. Usually the General News Reporting Award goes to a paper for a Challenger explosion, a flood, some big deal like that. And we won it for a business story, a takeover.
And a lot of in-depth reporting, I'm sure, and behind the scenes. And
Yeah.
When you got news that you had won a Pulitzer, where were you and how'd that?
We were in the newsroom, and it's just like winning the World Series. There's, honest to gosh, there's champagne, boxes. But the thing is, you're never absolutely sure until it's announced. And it's announced. Even then, it was announced online on the computer.
Wow.
You just keep updating the site to see if the news was announced, but word leaks out. So about a week before, word leaked out that, hey, you guys should get ready to celebrate. But you're never sure, because there's been some horror stories about papers that thought they'd won and they planned celebrations and then they didn't. So.
I got to
kind of
imagine.
like Dewey celebrating. Yeah. Truman? Who's Truman? I won. I'm Dewey.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
This is a naive question, but I love naive questions, and that is, I imagine
There's
that
no such thing as a naive
I
question.
know. When you win an Oscar, you get that nice statue, and you get to put it on your mantle. Right. When you win a Pulitzer, what do you get?
I get a copy of the Pulitzer Prize.
And what's that look
like? The
like?
original's hanging up in Akron, Ohio.
Yeah.
And it just says, the Columbia School of Journalism hereby certifies whatever, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so.
Beautiful.
So
Congratulations
that's what
on
I
that,
get.
by the way.
Oh, thank you.
That's
Yeah,
huge.
it happened many, many
Round of
years
applause,
ago.
Yeah.
And how about the Golden Mics? How many of those do you have?
4.
Wow.
I think I got 4 or 5.
You want to explain what the Golden Mic?
5. Oh, that's given every year for the best something or another in broadcast journalism, radio, TV.
Yeah.
And who awards that one?
That's the Radio and TV News Association of L.A. I think it's RTNA.
Which I looked up, by the way, and they have a lot of categories for awards. I'm thinking, you know what, we'll enter next year.
We're in.
Deadline's
You guys
in
could.
October.
I'm
Yeah, we
sure.
could.
I'm
There's
sure
a
you
radio
can.
category, isn't there?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, go ahead, enter. You won't be competing with me.
Most inane, goofy radio show ever created.
Yeah, I think they have that category. Yeah.
Multiply it by our listener base, and
There-
we're shooing. I think.
Yeah, listen, in your weight category, you guys have a shot.
Punch
Are you kidding?
above class, huh?
Our
You guys
weight-
got a good show. You guys got what you've been doing it 4 or 5 months now.
Yeah,
right?
I think
Yeah.
we've got it down.
You're already scraping the bottom of the barrel on guests, though. That's
Not at
good.
all. By the way, I was
no,
going to.
you're our first Pulitzer Prize winner.
So, what sort of
Feeling pretty
influence
good.
would you say your show, your politics, your journalism career, what sort of influence would you say you've had? And don't be humble on me here. Has had on the county.
Well, in general terms, it's true. Journalists never like to say, "Oh, we have influence." We're just informing people. But the truth is, we do. And I often joke that, and Robert, you can identify with this. I always use the example of the high-powered patent lawyer. You can have an attorney who's making $400,000, $500,000 a year, and his or her influence is nothing compared to that reporter who's making $50,000 a
Right,
year.
agreed.
It's just by the nature of what a journalist does that they, they influence a community. So I don't know. I've always focused on the end user, who's watching me, who's reading me, and I think that's served me well. I think a lot of journalists don't do that. They're more writing for each other and not really thinking about the people they should be serving.
You're
Yeah, and
very-
to understand the influence, Scott, just to business people in Orange County. I mean, you've got Rick Reiff, you've got Jimmy Sullivan, currently editing, and you got my friend Richard Reisman. Those are the trilogy of the Orange County Business Journal. And if you're a business person in Orange County, you cannot underestimate the value. It's the New York Times, it's the Wall Street Journal, it's Fortune, it's Forbes, all in one. It is the singular voice that addresses the business community of Orange County. It's pretty miraculous the power you do have.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can I quote you on that?
You can indeed.
Yeah.
I used to be the theater critic, but we finally figured out why are we having theater reviews in a business journal.
We're down to about 2 minutes, Megan, 2 or 3 minutes. I'm going to kind of do a quick round
Sure.
of questions here, if you don't mind. Who have you not interviewed in Orange County that you would love to get on your show?
Donald Bren.
He's very
who's of
private.
course the
Very
owner of
private.
the Irvine Company.
Yeah.
I have interviewed him years ago at the Business Journal. I'm thinking, though, as far as a TV show, the guy I'd love to have is Schwarzenegger. I'd like to have Schwarzenegger.
Get down,
And,
get down.
and I'm still hoping to get Jerry Brown. I think I'll do that. But the governor is not very accessible. But
Yeah.
I guess those are.
Do you reach out personally to try to get those interviews into your show?
Yes, yeah. No, I haven't tried Schwarzenegger.
Has Mr. Brent ever done a public interview? I've been interviewed by him, but
I
I've
don't
never
believe
seen
he has
him on.
ever done a TV interview.
Yeah.
Interesting thing.
He has done some
He
on
to this
rare
day
occasions.
is as sharp as a tack. Looks
Oh,
great.
yeah.
He's an Olympic quality skier. He's an amazing guy.
Yeah.
But I've never seen him
Yeah.
permit an interview.
Yeah, I've interviewed him a couple of times, caught him once at an event, and he talked for about 5 minutes, and once we had a prearranged interview with him. So, he's done, on occasion, very rarely, he'll do an interview, but
We got
nothing
one.
on TV.
We got 1 minute. You know what we should do, Robert? By the way, we should compete
Yes, sir.
to see who can get to him first. I think that would be an interesting
Yes.
contest.
You guys have good. You might have a good shot. You know?
Hey, we got 1 minute. Very quickly, what makes a great journalist?
Empathy, inquisitiveness, and a desire for accuracy and fairness.
Beautiful. One last question. I worded this very carefully. You're a baseball fan, I read, yes? Specifically the
Huge.
Chicago White Sox?
And the Cleveland Indians and I like to say Anaheim Angels.
How does the game of baseball influence you as a journalist, or does it?
Oh, yes. Oh, analogies, wonderful analogies in baseball, and more, it's just the context for my whole life. Whenever I see a year, 1960, Bill Mazeroski home run. I mean, it's kind of the life of the mind. You know, baseball is a context for everything.
Yeah.
although lately I've been going more to golf, but that's probably a sign of senility.
All right, we're done. You know, that just went way too short. We needed a whole nother half hour or so in here. Yeah.
Too bad I took up so much time.
I
with
didn't
my
want to say
stupid
anything.
music show. Me stink guy over
Rick,
there.
thank
Go fast. You guys are good.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming in. Really appreciate
Thank you.
that. It was
keep up the good work.
It was a real pleasure. Your local gem and your bride is just absolutely wonderful. She's over there at
Well,
Pac
she's the
Life
better
and,
half for sure.
Very involved in the community, and they do a lot of really great things. So thanks for all you do. We really appreciate
Well,
it.
and same to you.